You missed out on a huge job earlier on in your career.
Yes, can we go, think about that and talk about it at length?
I always like to believe that things that I don't get weren't supposed to be mine.
I think the Dude, Where's My Car? You auditioned for that movie.
Yeah, I auditioned for that movie, and
Dude, Where's My Car? That's a classic.
Yeah. I auditioned for a lot of classics that I'm not in.
Doubt. I wanted to be in Doubt, and I mean, it's fantastic because Viola got it.
Yeah.
But no, the director told me no because it wasn't long enough to lose the Oprah.
You auditioned for Jumanji. The role went to Kirsten Dunst.
That is true.
As a kid, did you go to see Jumanji after?
Yeah, I saw Jumanji, but I liked it. I liked Jumanji.
The Parent Trap. Lindsay Lohan was the girl in The Parent Trap.
Right.
Did you audition for that?
Yes.
You did. You auditioned for Les Mis, right?
I auditioned for Les Mis, yeah.
You didn't get it because you had laryngitis.
I did. I had laryngitis, but I tried.
You
but
tried.
I don't know if that's why I didn't get it. I probably didn't get it because I wasn't right for it.
Anne Hathaway got it.
And she was great in that film.
What, she's better than you?
And she got an Academy
Come on.
Award.
Yeah.
That was your Academy Award.
Why did you not make the movie of My Fair Lady? It's never been completely explained to me.
It's very simple. I had never made a movie. I was not a star. I was not box office.
Yeah.
And so I understand it.
But
I'll
then you
never
were
forget it,
ex-nurse
but I
and-
understand it.
You'll never forget. You must have been really sore at the time,
Well,
because it was certainly your part.
It's nice to have the kind of compensation that I had, which was Mary Poppins.
I tested for Modern Family, and I did not get it, and that was tough. They were lovely, and they brought me back, and I guest starred in an episode, but
For Julie Bowen's character?
Which of course that was always going to be Julie Bowen's character, and once you see who gets it, you're like, well, that makes perfect sense. That was one of those times where I may have gotten in bed and pulled the covers over my head for just a few minutes, and then I rallied and moved on with my life.
There was a Narnia movie, the Prince Caspian film. I think I auditioned for the Prince Caspian film.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think Ben Barnes ultimately got it. Ben Barnes, I'll get you. No, I really just wanted that part, and I think someone said, oh, I think the feedback was, he's not handsome enough or something.
You never auditioned, right, for Saturday Night Live?
I didn't audition for SNL. But I did when I was 12. I auditioned for All That.
I think the Power Rangers, maybe. Definitely Dawson's Creek. I read with Scott Speedman. I didn't get it.
You know who was also a contender for Jen Lindley? Who? Katie Heigl. Because Steve Miner, who directed the pilot, and had brought her in. And I think she had just looked slightly older, I think, at that time or something. Even though she was younger, I just think she was more mature. I don't know if she fit. I forget what, but she gave a great audition. I remember we were all sort of like, wow, she's good.
Don't know about the future. That's anybody's guess.
I remember being devastated as a kid of not getting Blossom. Oh, I would have rocked that hat.
It was written for Sandy Duncan, but then they had a problem on that Hogan Family, and they moved Sandy to that. And then Brandon said, how would you like Haley Mills?
The scripts were fun, and it was a new departure.
We bring in Jenny Goff, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, and Elizabeth Berkley, separately to Rita Kelly. Well, it came down to Elizabeth Berkley and Tiffany. Half the room wanted Tiffany. Half the room wanted Elizabeth Berkley. So Brandon said, why don't we use both of them? We cast in that pilot Jonathan Brandis, who had gone on to Sequest, Urkel, Julia White, and Brian Austin Green from 90210.
Is it true you were close to getting the role of Elaine on Seinfeld?
Yeah, I went in just, a couple of times, but we had really good chemistry and everything, so I actually thought I was going to get it.
I was waiting to start playing Carrie Bradshaw when oh my God.
SJP?
Sarah Jessica Parker decided to do television, so they had to let me go so that she could do it. But it was very sad.
I got really close in the testing process to actually play Lorelai, and I ended up not getting it. They didn't believe that I could be her mom.
Is it true that you auditioned for Cheers? Seriously?
And probably everybody else in New York at the time.
Right? It was to replace Shelley. Or was it for Shelley's part? It might have been actually at the beginning. I don't know. It was the same year.
Oh, that's right, 'cause Kirstie Alley
I think
came
I
over,
also
right?
auditioned that year for Charlie's Angels and a bunch of other things. And kept thinking, maybe it's because I don't have big enough boobs. I don't know.
I auditioned for a sitcom at Paramount, and I had like 5 callbacks, and I was getting really close. And the last callback, the producers, they all looked at each other and they go, we're not getting any closer than this. Then I find out they're looking at older actors for the part. And it was for the part of Sam Malone in Cheers, Ted Danson.
Wow. Cheers, originally, Sam Malone was an ex-football player. But they changed that, you know, and I don't know why they did.
There were 3 pairs. There was Fred Dryer and Julia Duffy, Billy Devane and Lisa Eichhorn and Ted and Shelley. And what we did was we got a stage that had a bar set on it. We had set up chairs because we brought the network and the studio together. We did a little performance. Each couple ran the scene, and they were all good choices. The closest person to Sam Malone was Fred Dryer, who was a professional football player. Freddie had that peacock stature. But the most sparks came from Ted and Shelley. They, you know, that kind of chemistry you can't. That's a gift from God if you can get that.
It took us a long time to find Tim Daly and Steven Weber. It was we were starting to despair, actually. And then it was time to do Helen, who had originally been written as Helen Trionkos, a sultry Greek beauty whose father owned the lunch counter and died and left it to her. And we decided that we wanted this actress that we found named Perry Gilpin for that role. And we took her into Brandon, and he went, she's really good, but I don't think she's ready to do the lead in a network sitcom yet. And so we were disappointed, but he said, how about, there's this actress named Crystal Bernard. So we went, well, Crystal Bernard has a southern accent. How does that fit in with sultry Greek beauty? And he basically said, well, you'll figure that out.
The one thing was that they had Lisa Kudrow originally cast as Roz. And in the pilot, the whole pilot turns on the fact of Roz turning Frasier to go back and be nice to his father, and you had to have, you had to do that speech. They wrote a Lupe Velez speech. You had to do that speech with some toughness, and Lisa did it, but it was more ditzy. So Frasier would have to try to figure out what she was saying and then go, not take the bull by the horns. So they replaced Lisa with Perry Gilpin. Lisa was upset with me. I think upset with all of us. However, she's no longer upset, because the role she ended up in is certainly the best role for her.
Marta and David always had David Schwimmer in their head. You know, so David was the first one cast on the show. He was just offered the part of Ross.
I auditioned for Friends even. I auditioned for Schwimmer's part. And years later, I told Jimmy Burrows, who directed all of Will and Grace, I said, because he directed Friends too, I said, I was up for Schwimmer's part. And he said, oh, honey, you were wasting your time. They wrote the part for him.
And then the rest of the casting went very, very slowly. I think it went over a period of 3 or 4 months. And we saw literally hundreds of actors.
I, like almost every actor in the world, auditioned for Friends. Wow. Yeah, I mean,
that's major.
You heard of that one, right?
That's major. What role?
I wish I had gotten that one. I actually auditioned for Rachel.
You know, I tested for Friends for Jennifer Aniston.
No,
what?
you didn't!
Is that true?
Of course you did.
I was
You
just a little too
tested.
young. Yeah,
You were a
It's
little
just-
too young.
It's a little too young to the pairing of the rest of them.
Wow.
But yeah,
But
I did.
I auditioned twice to be on for the role of Joey, Matt LeBlanc's role. Oh.
I was doing a play in London, and I got a call at 3 a.m. from somebody in Los Angeles who didn't realize that there's a little time change. She said, well, the part that I want you for is named Chandler Bing.
And I had to audition the next morning with the casting director who was in the UK, but she had woke me up at 3. So I had to work on the scene from that time until about 10 a.m. London time. So I went in and I did my best. And she packaged up the tape of me doing my best Chandler Bing, sent it to Los Angeles, and it got stuck at customs. It's okay, everybody. No. It's all for the best.
During the course of it, I don't want to mention them but there were a couple of actors who were actually offered roles on Friends. One was offered Chandler and one was offered Monica, and for various reasons, those offers couldn't work out.
You were one of the finalists for Monica from Friends, okay, for the audition process. Just what do you remember about that audition and that part? Did you know that part was going to turn out to what it was?
I think that she is an amazing talent and so beautiful and was so perfect in that show. And it was just so great that she was there.
I remember reading the pilot episode, and I said to my husband, this is the funniest script I have ever read, and this is going to be a huge hit, but I can tell it is going to be all about just, sex and anything to go with that. I don't regret not taking that opportunity. Now, my kids, on the other hand, I remember my daughter once said, are you telling me that Brad Pitt could have been my father?
I hear from Susan Harris on the phone. Will you please, Rue, do us a favor? Could you call B. Arthur and see if you can influence her to come and play Dorothy? She keeps turning us down. I know Elaine Stritch was up for the part and sabotaged it herself. She sabotaged herself out of that role because she said to them in the reading, so she says in her one-woman show, I blew it. I'm going to put some four-letter words in this reading. And they said, no, you're not. But she put the four-letter words in anyway.
The CBS hotshots laughed a lot. The writer, she didn't think it was funny at all.
I auditioned for Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Yeah. For Frodo.
Yeah, sorry.
Of course. What do you mean, man?
I don't know,
Have you seen my feet? And I remember going to this room, and I remember there was a lot of stage direction, so there were no lines. Like, we didn't have any lines to say, really. It was just like finding the ring, and like you go and you like are supposed to open the thing, and there's the ring there. And I remember I didn't really do it because I didn't really understand because there were no lines. So I sort of like walked up and I like sort of opened it up, and I was like, is that good?
When I read originally for Lord of the Rings, the casting director said to me, if you hang around for, the next hour or so, David Bowie's going to come in. So I just sat in the reception area reading a magazine and watched the Thin White Duke walk past me. It was pretty amazing. I think he was either reading for Gandalf, which I think is the closest bet, or possibly Hugo Weaving's part. I can't remember. Oh, Elrond. Maybe Elrond. One of those two.
You auditioned for Star Wars, didn't you, Kirk?
Oh yeah, years ago, they were going to do this movie, and guys my age were all going in to read for it.
Yeah.
I read for both parts, actually.
What's that little droid carrying that's so blasted important?
Star Wars was at a time when there was a Western show called The Quest that was out there, and they wanted me to do that. And I had to answer them. And so I said to George, he was a real young guy, and I'd read for Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, and he'd had 3 or 4 other guys as well. He didn't know what combination he wanted. And so I said, do you know if you're going to use me or not? And he said, I really don't. I'm not sure. And I said, I'm going to go take this Western. So whether or not he would have hired me, I don't know.
There's one everybody seems to know got away. Even Steven Spielberg even put my screen test on the anniversary of Raiders of the Lost.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No, that was, he asked if he could do it. I said, yeah. But the thing I hate is, God, with Wikipedia, all that stuff, there's all sorts of things that isn't true. I didn't turn it down. I earned the part. I did a screen test.
Right.
And Steven Spielberg and George Lucas said, you got the part. And I said, well, I've done this pilot. And I don't know whether it's a conflict. They said, we're not worried about that. And then it was Magnum.
Oh, wow.
And CBS basically said no. Paramount wanted Matthew McConaughey for the role of Jack.
but Cameron insisted on Leo, how would that have changed things?
I auditioned with Matthew, isn't that weird?
You auditioned
Yes,
with
I
Matthew
did.
McConaughey?
Never said that in public before.
What was your Titanic audition with Kate Winslet like? And do you think you could have done a better job than Leo?
You auditioned for Titanic?
The audition went really well.
Really?
Well enough where when I left, I was being glad-handed and slapped on the back like, this is what we were looking for. And then there was a rumor, and James Cameron started this rumor somehow, that I got the role and didn't do it. This is false.
No, Matthew read, for the part, and then we met Leo. So the Matthew thing is become mythic. But I just want to say, Matthew, if you're watching, are we good? Are we good? Because it wasn't me, man.
The Twilight author Stephanie Meyer wrote the character of Edward Cullen based on you. Is that a true story?
I heard something like that. I don't know if it was based on me. Maybe it was based on me when she wrote it, but when it came to the movie being cast, she was definitely very keen on me playing the role. But I think I was too old at that stage.
Too old. That's crazy.
Or something was going on. And so I didn't get it.
Bond was another one. You screen tested for Iron Man. Was that the original Iron Man, or is it one of the sequels that you screen tested for?
I'm not aware of the ins and outs. I know that there was a day.
You don't know
in which
one you.
I know that wonderful actor Robert Downey Jr. and I, we screen tested on the same day. And I'm still waiting to hear back. And
while I was doing James Dean, I auditioned with Sam, met Sam, and I was actually up for the Peter Parker role for a while. And then they decided to go with Toby, which is an excellent choice. And a little later on, when they were casting the other roles, they said, I guess they decided that they liked me and asked me if I wanted to do Harry Osborn.
For something like Wolverine, another actor was cast, and I'd auditioned, didn't get the part, and the actor ended up being injured and stuck on a film. And
your name's often mentioned in relation to Wolverine and the part that I believe you were going to play.
That's not a part that I nearly got. That's a part that I was offered and turned down 3 times, and I didn't want to do it. And then they persuaded me to do it, and I was doing it. I was about to do it, and then the movie I was doing at the time just overran by so much that I couldn't do it in the end. So that was the story with Wolverine. But it's still part of my past. It never really, I never think about it.
I heard that you screen tested for Captain America.
That's
that
right.
role.
In my head, I got the part.
Yeah.
John Krasinski, you were nearly in this world, weren't you, the Marvel world?
Wow, make me feel great. I was probably 16th choice for Captain America.
So you remember they rebooted Superman, not this last time with Henry Cavill. They did it once before.
Yeah. Like 2004 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. When I was obviously young enough to play Superman.
I don't know.
So I was approached, and at the time, I don't know, I just didn't float my boat, I was like, I just didn't really want to go there.
You auditioned to play Superman,
I did.
and you put on the Superman suit at
I
one point
did.
for a J.J. Abrams version of that.
I got that stripe, I did it. Everyone in town, it seems like, went up for that part.
They nearly gave you the big gig so many times.
Yeah. There was, Superman was one of them.
Oh, the first time around, yeah.
Yep.
You were in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight films, playing the Scarecrow. I did not realize you auditioned to play Batman.
Well, yes, amongst many other actors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it? Did you have a sense? I mean, obviously, Christopher Nolan still was a fan of yours, still doing the films. Did you at any point think like, "Oh, I'm a perfect fit for this," or intimidating?
No, I never for a moment thought I was, material. I think I was. It was obvious that Christian Bale was going to be Batman. At that time, it was clear.
You were almost cast as Thor, is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly how close it was, but I think I was sort of in the runner-up. It was the first American audition I did, and then my sister calls me and she says, like, "There's a picture of you in The Guardian," and I'm like, "What's The Guardian?"
Right.
Yeah. And she's like, "It's a British magazine. Like, it's a picture of you and 3 other guys that says that you're gonna be Thor." I'm like, what?
Right.
So we check it out, and like apparently, like nobody had told me about it, but it was me and 3 other guys.
When you auditioned for Thor, you actually auditioned for Thor.
You originally auditioned, no offense is meant by my incredulity here.
That's right.
But you originally auditioned for Thor.
You chose this. For Outland!
Basically, at the time, they were looking for sort of less well-established actors, so that the audience didn't have an association. They just wanted people to see these new characters, these new actors.
Yeah,
the remit was, if you're over 6 foot and you've got blonde hair, and you could come and have a pop at it. So I actually auditioned. I never auditioned for Loki. I only ever auditioned for Thor, which is nuts.
And how long did the audition process? I mean,
it was about 3 months.
Wow, so you thought for a second, you go, this is real. I could be Thor.
For a second, yeah.
And now, was he also up for Thor?
He was, yeah. I auditioned and then didn't get the part, and then they auditioned him, and he basically got down to last like 4 people, and then didn't get it, and then I came back in and.
And how was that at home? That's like real sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah.